at a really high level. And really throughout the course of the game, we had some moments where we had to call timeout, make some adjustments when they were playing in too much rhythm and too comfortable. We had some breakdowns in our system, but for the majority of the game, I think our defense was a huge catalyst, which really allowed us and ignited our offense and allowed us to get out in transition, get some easy baskets and easy scores. So that I think is the most important thing on the offensive end. I felt like I felt like obviously the numbers speak that to us being extremely efficient. I think we scored it at over 1.2 points per possession. Shot a very good percentage from the field and from three. Very good assist to turnover ratio, good rebounding numbers, good assist numbers. Our guys shared the ball and played selflessly. So wasn't perfect, but I think it was as sort of complete a game maybe as we played all year long.
Questions for Coach Kelsey?
Yeah, I'll start. Just how much of that starts with Chucky? He was the guy that was, kind of carrying the team during the first half with his sharp shooting. Just how much of a difference maker does it make having him as the guy that sets the tone at your point guard?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a team that can hurt you in a lot of different ways, and I think the story of this, one of the big stories of the season, is just that. Like, you can't just circle one guy in the scouting report and say, "Man, you got to stop him," because we had Javon Hadley have 27. Fats had a huge number game. Obviously, Rain did that the other night, and then Chucky tonight. But Coach Prosser used to say all the time, it begins at the beginning, and the beginning is your point guard, and obviously Chucky's been sensational for this year. I think he's one of the best point guards in the country, one of the best point guards in our conference. He can score it. Shot the heck out of it from three today. He could generate free throws. He had 7 assists, 3 turnovers. Um, and he's very selfless, and he's a phenomenal leader, and he's a pro in his work every day. So Chucky was awesome tonight. But we had 5 guys in double figures. Javon Hadley had a double-double. I thought Terrence was really good in pick and rolls. He had another very good defensive performance. I thought James Scott had really one of his better games in a Louisville uniform. And he's been really, really good for us this year. He had 10 and 8, 3 assists, but he just does so many things that don't show up on stat sheet. I think he's one of the best screeners in our conference, and so many things that happen and shots that are generated so many times are kind of finished by a James Scott screen. And there's an art to that, and he studies it. He was really good in that regard. Kanai gave us great minutes. It was good to see Frank get in there, and this is his former school. Thought he gave us good minutes defensively, as did Abubakar. Noah, just gosh darn. I told Brooks this before that I think he's one of the great stories of this season too. And his numbers might not be great right now. His minutes might not be kind of what it would be if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, but he is absolutely just sacrificing for this team and giving his all and gutting through a very tough injury where he had surgery, 4 pins put in. And I've never really seen that my entire career. Somebody goes through that and he just continues to lace it up and be there for his teammates. And it's giving our guys great inspiration and great courage. And we appreciate it. He sacrificed a lot.
Other questions for Coach Kelsey, either on teams or
Anybody right?
yeah,
Is there a difference you think? I mean, just because this is the second straight game where you guys have gone over 10 threes on the road, is there a difference between shooting in different venues versus at the Yum Center? Anything that you can think of that would explain kind of why the team can get so hot sometimes shooting on the road versus why the numbers haven't matched at home?
You're saying we don't shoot as well at home? Is that what the numbers say?
There have been, more often than not, there are games with less than 10 at home.
I tell you all the time, if we hunt great, we hunt big advantage shots. And throughout the course of this year, I mean, the majority of our shots are big advantage shots. Our guys give up good and hunt great. And when we generate big advantage shots with you're in range, you're in rhythm, you shoot it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And then we'll crash the glass and go get a second opportunity. I don't get caught up in makes and misses. I'm about hunting great. And if we're getting great ones, I sleep like a baby, fold my arms, smile, whether it goes in or not, because the consistency of generating great shots over and over and over again. I told you from the very beginning, the numbers will even out. You'll find the back of your bubblegum card. You'll find your mean. And, sure enough, we're shooting as well as anybody in our conference. But I don't, there's no difference between, Norman Dale from Hoosiers, if he would have walked in the Carrier Dome or whatever it is now, it's not the Carrier Dome anymore. He would have measured the basket and said, "Hey, it's 10 foot and it's 15 foot to the free throw line." And as you guys know, that's the same dimensions as our gym back in Louisville. I think his was Hickory. So it's 10 feet, 15 feet. I don't know what the three is now. They change it so much, 23-9. So it's hoops a hoop.
Matt, go ahead.
Pat, early in the season, the rebounding numbers were a little bit streaky, but a big part of this hot streak is, and over just the last few weeks overall, the rebounding numbers have been a lot better, whether it be per game or percentage. What do you think has been the key adjustment in this team and their rebounding ability?
I disagree with you. I think we've been very consistent in rebounding all year long. Like, I think we have really good rebounding numbers on the offensive and defensive end. I think that's been a strength of us the majority of the year. So there were no adjustments. It's just pursue the ball like you're the only one that can get it. And the mentality is you got to think like if you don't get it, we're going to lose. It's go bite loose balls in the air and on the ground, tenacity, toughness. If somebody blocks you out, fight around them, go get it. There's no science to rebounding. It's just strictly grit and effort. And I think we've been really good throughout the course of the year.
You mentioned some of those moments where you called timeout to kind of like get the team back together, like just like some slippages. Were those like the only moments that kind of stand out to you, like, in this game that was just such a dominant victory? Like, are there any other just like moments that kind of stood out as things you can try to build on or get better at? Because like you said, you were calling those timeouts to try to get the team together.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a couple times where they made 2 or 3 baskets in a row and we messed up on a couple coverages. So, we just say the most important thing in the history of the program is the next thing you do. So we called the timeout, we mentioned, and we addressed some of the things that were not doing well. Then it's their job to go out and respond and fix those things, and they do it. That's coaching, that's basketball, that's kind of what you do. They give me 5 timeouts, and if we need to call those timeouts to make some corrections, as Coach Prosser used to call it, little in today's day and age, I tell you guys all the time, you got to be a little bit more politically correct. It might not be a butt chewing. It's aggressive counseling, as he used to call it. I know I said that to you guys before, but I love bringing his name up and remembering some of his quotes. So, no, you're never going to be perfect. Even though we played what I would consider a pretty complete game, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that when I get on the airplane, open up my laptop, and we start clipping the possessions, and like we always do when we get back to practice. We'll start the first meeting with showing the goods and the bads from the offensive and defensive end from this game before we turn the page to Virginia, and then we'll move on.
Did Chucky and Terrence come to you all again with, kind of their, hey, watch the game against Syracuse, like, here's what we're thinking defensively? Did they do that again?
You got to call Klo because Brian Kloman's our defensive coordinator, and he's the one that's in those those individual film sessions with guys. Those guys, they text him. Coach Kloman's so much more fun than me. It's so much more fun to call Coach Klo and talk about stuff. I'm old, losing my hair. I don't listen to all the same music they do. So they reach out to him before they reach out to me. I'm kidding, but they probably do. I mean, we just got basketball dudes with hoop IQs that love to. We'll get on the plane. Those guys will get on Synergy. They'll start watching stuff and about Virginia. They're just that way. It's a fun team. Usually, you come back to preparation, and then, I'm telling them stuff for the first time. James Scott's already watched 4 games of Virginia since they played us, and that's why this group's really fun.
Yeah, I was asking about like the scouting report just because number 2 for Syracuse averaged 26 the last 2 games. Probably a big point of emphasis for you all, as are other players in the team. But to hold him to 4 tonight, I thought really spoke of just how you guys have been guarding for several games, just out on the perimeter.
Yeah, he was a focal point of the scouting report, and I thought our guys did a good job. We threw a bunch of different people at him. It wasn't just one guy, and I was a little upset. Number 4 got loose on some things. We had some missed assignments. He made 2 threes early and kind of got him going. But it's once I break down this game, we'll have some stuff to clean up, and we will.
Matt, do you have another question?
Yeah, I do. Pat, an underrated aspect of this winning streak seems to be that you guys have done really well on generating points off turnovers. Has that been a point of emphasis recently, or is that just kind of something that's naturally occurred?
So we stress playing with activity and touching the ball. We chart deflections, and you know, we have a number that we want to hit every game. And in fact, tonight was our highest deflection total of the year. And that's always one indicator of, you know, tenacity, toughness, touching the ball. But yeah, I mean, we don't go into the game saying, hey, we want to hit a certain number of turnovers. We do say there's in analytics, we want to be below 15% in turnover percentage. And we want our opponents to be at 20% in turnover percentage, which is the percentage of possessions that a turnover occurs. We were pretty close to that tonight. We were below 15. I think we turned it over at about 13.9%, which is very good. They turned it over at just over 19%, which is a little bit below our standard, but that was pretty good. So we do have certain metrics that are up on the board that are the same for every single game, from a rebounding percentage standpoint, turnover percentage standpoint, assist rate. And those guys are kind of becoming a little bit of modern analytical gurus a little bit, you know, because we use those numbers to talk about goals. It's not just, hey, we want to hold them to this points per or this many points in the game, or we want to hold them to this many offensive rebounds. No, it's the percentage of overall shots that they get back. And I walk into the game, into the locker room after the game. I go, fellas, we scored it at 1.2 points per possession. And they lost their mind. They went crazy. And I said, fellas, we held them to 0.89 points per possession. They went crazy again. So I think you know, is smart, is basketball savvy as the Louisville fan base is. And you guys are crazy, intelligent basketball fans, very, very informed. It's fun to kind of start talking about some of those metrics.
Do you have the number for the deflections? If it was a season high?
I don't know if I want to tell you.
Okay.
I don't know why, but just always think about like
We got to count on ourselves.
Yeah, exactly right.
Last one I have is you guys went perfect at the line tonight after that was kind of a problem at Pittsburgh. I mean, you only had a couple days to get prepped for this game, but was that a point of emphasis? Free throw shooting at all after missing some big ones?
Well, I mean, I think we shot it really, really well. Just a couple guys at Pitt didn't, and you know, James was one of them, and he banged his free throws tonight. I think him and Frank were both. I think they were 4 for 4 from the line, which was great to see. I love James. Like when the kid undercut him, and he went down. He's. I just know how he is. Like something like that happened. I knew when he went to the line, he was going to knock those things down because he just felt like he got slighted. He felt like he got cheap shot a little bit. I'm not saying the kid cheap shot it, but I mean, obviously there was a flagrant call. So, and he was upset because, you know, that he got undercut in the Bahamas, and that's when he broke his wrist, and he was out, you know, for the whole rest of the summer and for a lot of the preseason. And I think, you know, when he's in midair and he got undercut, he had those like kind of PTSD. Luckily, he didn't hurt himself, and he got up and he just bowed his neck and made the free throws. I loved it.
All right, thanks, guys.